Welcome, everybody. My name is Georgie. I am the research coordinator for the Center for Positive Sexuality, which is based in Los Angeles. I am based in Edinburgh, Scotland. Dr. Basson, you can take it away.
I'm Dr. Marina Basson, and I've done my PhD in sociology, and I specialize in relational diversity. And I did my research thesis on consensual non-monogamy in South Africa and how it impacts marital well-being, which was a first of its kind, because I'll explain to you as we go along through my research why it was such a difficult thesis to work through, given the whole ethos of the South African culture. Please feel free to ask questions. I love it. I love being interactive. I'm going to share my slides and then we can take it from there. And I'm going to be chatting today about consensual non-monogamy and the South African perspective. Okay, so let's start. So this is my model, and this is how my model came about. So in order to find how consensual non-monogamy may bring about marital well-being, we understand that there are enablers or mindsets. And these mindsets are preceded by antecedents, which come through your external influences, the fulfilling of the needs, whether they're sexual or social, and trauma, which predisposes you to consensual non-monogamy. But in the same breath, consensual non-monogamy, you have to navigate the landmines and the field of consensual non-monogamy through its benefits, truly understanding what these benefits mean. That's why I was raising my own opinions to some of these benefits, because you really have to understand the benefits and the value behind them, and then also understand and navigate the challenges. And they occur on all three levels within our existence: personal, social, and marital. And only once you've navigated and understood all of these sort of themes that go within consensual non-monogamy, then only can you say that consensual non-monogamy can contribute to marital well-being in the lifestyle. And I'll show you why I say that. So now we can put all of this together, this whole model, and we can start understanding it from, it encourages and promotes open communication, which makes sense. Because once I start communicating to my partner that I want to experience a bisexual experience, or I want to have a threesome, or I want to have sex with another man or another woman, if I'm a man or a woman for that matter, it means that I have to very openly communicate with my partner. I have to be candid about what I'm saying to them. And it has to be sexually candid. I can't beat around the bush. I can't pretend or lie or hope that my partner reads my mind. It has to be very clear, open, candid, conscious communication. Okay? So that is one element of how navigating this model brings you to marital well-being. Then, sexually candid discussions. You have to talk about them. I want you to touch my clitoris more. I'd like you to give me more oral sex, etc., etc. Then we have the transparency within the relationship, and we start understanding who our partners really are and what they really want when they start being honest. And then we can start understanding or even giving them what they really want. Then we have trust between the primary couple. How is this trust negotiated? How do we navigate it? Why are we calling it trust? Is it really trust? Then the second part to this is the willingness to experiment sexually. And consensual non-monogamy inspires that. It inspires this willingness to experiment. So you have sexual diversity, you have sexual fluidity, you can explore bisexuality, you can explore homosexuality. You can explore your sexual fantasies, your sexual desires, which might not always be possible in a monogamous heterosexual relationship, or even in a monogamous same-sex relationship. Does that make sense? Okay. Then it allows for gender and sexual diversity. And the way that that happens is that we embrace sexual plurality and fluidity. We challenge traditional gender roles because we find that the woman rule principle becomes very important. So we challenge where the man no longer gets to tell the woman what to do and what not to do. We now challenge that. And we can also challenge the fluidity, who we want to have sex with, when we want to have sex with them, and why we want to have sex with them. And it also challenges heteronormativity. It also challenges the fact that you have to be a man and a woman in a monogamous relationship. Why can't you be a man and a woman in a non-monogamous relationship and still enjoy the benefit of emotional connection and trust within non-monogamous relationship? Then it increases sexual proficiency. So we learn new sexual techniques from the various partners, and we can apply it within the primary relationship, which then brings your primary relationship to a very fulfilling stage. And we also incorporate these new sexual techniques with other partners and start understanding different responses to different techniques. Maybe your partner is not one that screams at the top of her voice, I'm coming, honey, I'm home, I've arrived. Maybe your partner is one that orgasms in her own space. She loses almost consciousness and touch with space, time, and reality. And maybe you apply the same technique to one of your swing partners and you find that it erupts in this absolute orchestral symphony of screams and moans and groans that everyone else in the club ends up looking at you. So, yes, the increase in sexual proficiency definitely will contribute to marital well-being. And then the last part, it's establishing social and friendship networks from a South African perspective, because this seems to be very unique to South Africa, is where we start seeing the swingers having social swinger friends. So we will have our braai or barbecue, as you call it overseas, and we will all be swingers. And then we play it by ear to see where it will go to. So we're either just going to barbecue for now because no one really feels amorous, or we're going to barbecue and then things get a little bit more kinky and then we take it to the next level. And we find that the friends also become social friends and they go to each other's children's weddings and birthday parties and funerals and business meetings and all of this. It's incredible. And that seems to be a very unique thing to South Africa. And by incorporating all of these elements that come out of the model, we understand why consensual non-monogamy can contribute to marital well-being within the South African context. Remember, can contribute, because consensual non-monogamy is not for everybody. Okay, any questions?
That was brilliant. Thank you so much. I'm curious. What do you feel is the impact of this research?
I think it's opening the door for more research, because we don't understand consensual non-monogamy enough in South Africa. And also, I've done comparative research now with Canada and America. We finished all the surveys. We are now in the analysis stage, specifically to try and understand why South African swingers have this very social context to them and why it's not like that, say, in America or Canada or the UK or somewhere else. But the impact is huge. It's massive, because we are dealing with a culture that was very suppressed, that has now discovered freedom, that is taking this freedom to a new level of relationship. They know that they want to have sex with other people, but they almost mixing it with a poly kind of relationship. And then you find a trajectory where we see problems arising out of the poly-style relationships, because these relationships become problematic. We find that the participants in these relationships get jealous, or they're saying, oh, you're having too much contact with this person or that person, and I don't want this. But then it's part of your poly-style merger swinging relationship. So the impact is huge. I'm hoping that more research will take place.
Definitely. Thank you. That's very exciting.
Any questions? What is the wider social context? Would a swinger be shunned by a friend? Oh, Trinidad, yes. So one of the challenges that we had in the social challenges was the non-monogamous or the monogamous friends, the people that weren't swingers. Yes, previously it wasn't socially acceptable to say that you were a swinger or to even bring it up in a public space because you would be shunned. People would start to target you, to victimize you. But in the current ethos, or as things have started changing now, recently, and I'd say within the past 10 years, we're finding that more people are open to it and more people are becoming more sex positive in that I don't need to like what you do, but I will respect what you do, provided you don't try and shove it down my throat. Does that make sense? Thanks for sharing your work. You're more than welcome. And my thesis is available. I think it is on the net, but if you can't find it, you can ask me and I'll send it to you. There's a lot more information in there than what I could share within an hour.
And if any questions come to anyone, feel free to email me at the email that you got the link from, or, I guess to Dr. Basson herself as well.
Yes. I would be more than happy to answer questions. I love my work. I love my research. This is why I do it. It's to inform, and people need to be informed before they consent to anything that might be very destructive or detrimental in the long run.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much. That was so interesting. And it's really nice to see a body of work come out of South Africa that's more about the consensual non-monogamy. I love that.
Yeah, I've loved it. It was a long road, and my profs were amazing in getting my thesis title approved. It took us a year. It was a lot. They're very conservative, and the university I studied through, Northwest, of the Old Potch University, very conservative.
Great. I will stop the recording there, and thank you everyone for coming and joining.